Alright, so we're talking about Dragon's Devil Fruit ability, or should I say his alleged Devil Fruit ability, because even currently in the series, it is not confirmed that he does have a Devil Fruit ability, but guys, come on, it's extremely likely that he does. I mean, I'd say that it's more likely that he does have a fruit than he doesn't. And I think by now we have a good understanding of what it could be, and that is very likely some kind of air and or wind manipulation. So what exactly the fruit is, well, we're going to try to get down to it in this video. So let's do it. So there's like three possibilities of what this fruit could be. So it's either an air Logia, an air Paramecia, or a storm Paramecia, meaning that he'd have like the abilities that Storm from the X-Men has. And while that would be cool, I think it's more likely the former here, considering that there's way more evidence to support that. And also, it would be pretty darn cool if he had a Logia, you know, because why not? So time and time again throughout the series, we see some kind of green air / wind accompany Dragon, or it's just around Dragon whenever he's currently in the story. Not always, of course, but it happens multiple times to the point of where it's not really a coincidence anymore, and this is clearly the doing of Dragon. So we've seen it, of course, in Logia the first time that we see him, chapter 100. And then we see him also use it again to save the people of the Goa Kingdom. And we also see it in his encounter with Sabo, actually 2 times. But let's go into those specifically and break them down. So in both Log and Goa, we see him use the surface level of what his abilities could be. Like the wind control, wind manipulation. Whether it's Logia or Paramecia, he definitely has the ability to control air and wind to it like an insane extent. Like in Log, he was like blowing the entire town around at will. He was creating like literal tornadoes and stuff. It's crazy. And also what we saw in Goa, like he blew away like all of that rubble, like an insane canal, crater, path that he created just so that all of the citizens could make their way to his ship. Like the perspective that we get on it is pretty darn impressive. Like imagine him if he really wanted to take out like a town. He easily could, like, you know, Blackbeard level, you know, me stuff. So aside from just blowing the wind around, like, in an offensive sense, he also has, like, a utility aspect to it as well, and there's more nuance abilities that I'll get into, but it's also heavily implied that Dragon can just straight up fly using the wind / air that he can control, because when we see him save Sabo from his shipwreck, Sabo's, like, out in the sea. And then all of a sudden, it just cuts to Dragon having him, and then we see a gust of wind, and then they're on shore. So how was Dragon able to do this? Well, it's likely because he flew out there and just straight up saved Sabo that way. Also, more evidence to support this is that when we see him land on the revolutionary ship, like when Ivankov is waiting for them, he just straight up like drops down. We see that his feet are clearly off the ground. And then we see a circular pattern of wind around his feet as he makes contact with the ground. So I think that's showing us that, yeah, he was definitely flying and he can fly, which is insane. But I also want to touch on the differences between the manga's iteration of this and the anime. So what I was just talking about is obviously what we saw in the anime, but the manga portrays this a little differently, and it kind of supports him being a Logia, possibly, but then again, it directly conflicts with the anime. So when we see this sequence in the manga, it shows the wind like almost being a part of Dragon, like pushing him or just coming off of him, almost like, you know, what we see typically of Logias. But then again, like I said, it conflicts with the way that this is portrayed in the anime. So either Oda was like, well, maybe just change it in the anime because I don't want people to obviously know that he is a Logia right away because, you know, Dragon is one of the most mysterious characters in the series. He has been this way for literally 20 years. So why just show, you know, all of your cards at once, especially in a flashback when I'm sure this big reveal is going to be shown later on. That also takes me back to when we see him training with Sabo on Baltigo. So some people think that, like, well, Sabo striking him and Dragon moving out of the way proves that he is not a Logia, because if he was, he wouldn't have to dodge him, and that, you know, Logias being intangible at all times, Sabo's strike would just simply go through him. And while that is true, and it's very likely that this could mean that Dragon has a Paramecia and not a Logia, I also think it's also could go back to Oda not wanting to reveal that Dragon is a Logia at this point in the story. And also, they are training, so this is more so just maybe just Dragon moving out of the way just because they are training. But either way, there's no real concrete evidence of what he is at this point. Although I would say there's more evidence to support that he just simply is a Paramecia and not a Logia. But the only thing that would really make me think that he is a Logia is because, first of all, wind, air, all that stuff totally falls in line with what a Logia could be. And also, Dragon is Dragon. You know, he's the leader of the Revolutionary Army. If he was a pirate, he likely would be a Yonko, meaning that he would have, like, some kind of insane fruit, just like the other Yonkos do, or just an insane power in general, like what, you know, they typically would have. And we know that Dragon specifically created the Revolutionary Army to be powerful enough to overthrow the world government. And we've seen that most of the other members of the Revolutionary Army have crazy fruits to themselves. So it would make sense that Dragon probably went out of his way to get the most insane fruit, which in theory would be the Air Logia. Because just think about the possibilities of that. I mean, him becoming air, being air, he could, in theory, become invisible, making Absalom's fruit irrelevant. I mean, he always has an environmental advantage, you know, because there's always air and wind everywhere, so he's always going to be able to manipulate that and become it and control it. I mean, like I was talking about earlier with Logetown, and that clearly wasn't, like, the full extent of his abilities. So he's, like, approaching, like, Whitebeard's Guruguru no Mi territory with, like, the potential to, like, end the world maybe if he really wanted to, because we saw that the Guruguru no Mi could affect the weather, and obviously Dragon has a huge effect on the weather, and I think that's a good time to get into that now. So we saw that Dragon just straight up saved Luffy from Buggy's sword with a bolt of lightning. This wasn't a coincidence. This was obviously Dragon's doing that did this. And also, we've seen that rain has accompanied Dragon as well. This also isn't a coincidence. It's extremely likely that Dragon is the cause of these weather phenomenons based on his fruit ability. And this is what I was pointing to earlier with the possibility of him having a storm Paramecia. But as I also said, there's not enough evidence to support that he does have the storm Paramecia, because we don't really see the lightning and the rain as much as we do see the wind. But there's also really good explanations as to how he is able to create the lightning and the rain, because it all has to do with air. And as we know, all of these super powerful characters in One Piece, especially the fruit users, have like absolute control of their fruits, like crazy nuanced abilities of it that you wouldn't typically think. I mean, Luffy himself is like only 19 and he's already doing insane stuff. We've seen what Katakuri could do, so I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to believe that Dragon, having an air manipulation fruit, has trained it to the point of where he can just pretty much do anything that he wants with it. For example, just straight up create clouds that he can manipulate at will. So yes, I think this is likely the reason why he's able to create rain and shoot lightning bolts and stuff like that. So clouds are often created when two different types of air masses run into each other, a warm air mass and a cold air mass. And as the warm air rises, condensation occurs and the air cools to a point of where it will condense from a gas state to a water state. Then you get some rain. So yeah, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to think that Dragon can control the temperature of the air. I mean, why not? We've seen other fruits be able to control nuances of it like that, so, you know, why not with Dragon? We've also seen like a similar thing that Nami does with her climate tact. So now that this like kind of effect and ability already exists in the world of One Piece, I think it's very likely that a fruit user could do this too, in theory at least. And as for the lightning, the same kind of principle applies. So you need cold air and warm air, and when they meet, the warm air goes up and it makes thunderstorm clouds. The cold air has ice crystals. The warm air has water droplets. During the storm, the droplets and the crystals bump together and move apart in air, and the rubbing makes static electrical charges in the clouds, and boom, you get some lightning. So that is also how, you know, Dragon is likely creating this lightning here. So how is he exactly pinpointing it to attack Buggy? Well, I guess we're just going to have to go into the, the crazy supernatural abilities of devil fruits and assume that because Dragon is creating these clouds, it's likely that he has control over them along with all of the other wind that he's manipulating, meaning that he has like some kind of crazy omniscient ability over all of the wind and the clouds that he's creating, meaning that he can directly pinpoint and shoot you with lightning if need be. I mean, how else do you really explain him conveniently striking Buggy at the exact moment that he needed to save his son? There's also one more bit of evidence to support this. So back in Logue Town, when all this craziness is happening, Nami is running through the streets and she says the air pressure and temperatures have been dropping for a while now. She also saw cumulus clouds heading from the east. So I think that's supporting that Dragon likely has air manipulation of some sort, can create clouds, and therefore control them as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And whether he is a Logia or a Paramecia, it's whatever. Regardless, he's ultra powerful and clearly one of the strongest characters in the series, aside from all of his insane hockey that he is implied to have as well. When are we going to see Dragon use this? When are we going to see anything from Dragon? Hopefully after Wano, considering what happens before that. Won't go into spoilers, but let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. What do you think Dragon's fruit is? Do you think he has a fruit? Do you think it's powerful? Also, if you liked the video, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a weekly Q&A video that I do. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.